The snow came in quiet drifts, settling over the bones of a settlement too stubborn to vanish. Jonah Wren stood at its edge, breath ghosting into dawn as he traced the fence posts, half swallowed by frost. He'd ridden through the dark with only his mule and a page of unsent words folded against his heart. But what he found here made his pulse catch like a match to wet wood. She hung by her wrists from a timber crossbeam, small boots lost in the snow, a sign above her head claiming French land and angry strokes of red. Her hair spilled like river reeds over her shoulders, hiding the bruises that spoke louder than any ransom. Jonah stepped close, boots crunching old ice, and listened, a shallow breath, the smallest proof she hadn't given the world her last. No words then. Just his knife slipping through rope rough as bark. Her weight fell forward into his arms, too light, too soft, a girl no older than heartbreak. He wrapped her in his coat, held her like something he'd once promised to protect. The sign above them creaked in the wind, but Jonah's silence was heavier than any claim nailed to wood. Behind him, the settlement slept on in ruin, doorways yawning like open graves. He pressed his gloved hand to her cheek, felt warmth flicker there like a stubborn ember. With the first light brushing frost from rooftops, Jonah turned his mule toward the tree line, her breath stirring faint against his chest. In that hush, he knew the land wasn't the only thing someone meant to take back. By dusk, Jonah reached an old trapper's cabin tucked into a bend of pine and drift. He laid the girl on a pallet of stitched pelts, fed the fire scraps of broken crates until sparks danced like tiny prayers against the cold. She did not wake, but her breath caught sometimes, a shiver rolling through her like a memory trying to flee. He found a chipped tin cup, melted snow over flame, and pressed warmth to her lips when the wind rattled the shutters. Her lashes fluttered. Once, a flicker behind a bruise, but no words came. Jonah traced the back of his hand across her brow, the same gesture he once saved for a son he buried before spring thaw. Through the night, he sat by the fire's hush, journal open on his knee, ink bled into old paper, lines he'd meant to send to no one in particular. He wrote her name beside empty lines, though he did not know it yet. When dawn slipped thinly through the boards, her eyes opened, pale as winter dusk. She mouthed something, dry, trembling, and he bent close to catch it. Marianne. One word, soft as snow falling through pine boughs. Jonah poured more water, tucked the blanket tight. Outside, branches sighed under new frost. Inside, a name bound them for now, a fragile link against the wildness pressing close. As he closed the journal, the last coal in the hearth broke with a soft hiss, a promise he would keep her breathing, even if the land never forgave him for it. The snow eased its siege by midwinter, trading sharp winds for softer drifts that wrapped the pines like shawls. Inside the cabin, warmth clung to the rough timber walls in ways it hadn't before, as if the fire knew two souls sheltered inside instead of one drifting ghost. Marianne's voice grew steadier with each passing dusk, though she spoke mostly in questions, small ones that scraped at old silence, careful not to break it wide open. Jonah taught her how to feed the stove without choking the flame, how to mend torn seams with crooked stitches that still held true. She watched him shave by lantern light, steady hand, eyes locked on a reflection in a chipped tin plate. Sometimes she caught him staring at the door when the wind picked up, as if expecting someone to step through it who never would. One gray morning, Marianne found the journal again, left open near the hearth. This time she read more than a line. She traced words with a fingertip, names she didn't know, places marked by regret. She asked him why he never sent these letters. Jonah answered by stirring the fire, as if the flames might speak for him. After a while, he told her of a boy buried near Fort Laramie, a grave marked by a boot heel and an old ribbon once tied in a mother's hair. His words folded into the hiss of sap crackling in the logs. When he fell silent, Marianne slipped the journal shut and set it in his hands. She didn't offer comfort, just pressed her palm over his rough knuckles until the tremor there settled. Outside, a fox's cry cut through the hush, reminding them both that the world was still sharp beyond these walls. That night, Marianne asked if he'd ever wish to go home. Jonah only shrugged, eyes soft with something too heavy for speech. "Sometimes the road's the only home left," he said, voice low. She didn't argue, only nodded as if that was answer enough. Before dawn, she woke to find him asleep in the chair by the fire, the journal on his chest, one hand fallen open to the cold floor. She covered him with the same old quilt he'd once draped around her shoulders, a silent promise that, come spring, neither of them would keep watch alone. If this story touched something soft inside you, tell me where you're listening from in the comments below. These quiet tales remind us that kindness, no matter how cold the world gets, still leaves its mark in the snow.